Like everyone back to another crypto video. I hope you guys are doing well, and today we're back with another banger PulseChain video, giving you guys the latest and greatest of crypto news. And we're going to continue where we left off in a previous episode, catching guys up with the latest news in the world of crypto and in PulseChain. As always, you're going to be leaving this video feeling more confident in your bags. I'm going to be adding logic to the equation so that you don't have to be emotional. Okay, I'm going to explain from a perspective of global macro investor why we are at these prices. Big shout out to Ray Dalio. So without further ado, we can look at the crypto market. First of all, how is it doing today? Bitcoin is doing a little bit of a retracement, which is absolutely fine and healthy. Still above 122,000, especially considering that yesterday it broke its all-time high. Ethereum is still above 4,500. Currently, we are in the greed from the Fear and Greed Index. And yeah, BNB is currently at price discovery. So yeah, it's doing absolutely amazing. Definitely right now the star of the show with 31% in the last 7 days. Now, of course, not expecting a lot from PulseChain, more or less sideways the past few days. But there's tons of great news and latest tweets from Richard Hart we're going to cover in this video and much more. So we're going to start off with this, one of my favorite quotes here. The best investors in the world are really good at doing nothing for long periods of time. Okay, very, very simple. Take that. It really does show the difference between having an investor or a trader mindset. Now, yes, you can make money in both. You can be even a scalper if you want, but the easiest formula is just being an investor, where you have time play on your side, okay, where we have less variables to play with and keep track of, and opening the charts every single day and forced to make decisions. So also keep that in mind. And it is a proven concept. Like, I was holding stuff from 2023, accumulating, believing during low volume times in PulseChain, okay, and I was rewarded very heavily in 2024. Okay, like if you guys watch my videos way back when I just started making videos on PulseChain, my videos were getting like 100 views, guys. Okay, barely any comments. And I'm just there speaking to a wall about why I believe in PWBTC. Like, the truth is, I was making those videos for myself. Okay, because sometimes I actually go back and I watch the videos that I make and I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. This is why it was bullish. I was bullish on them, not because the majority of people were talking about them on Twitter. No, guys, you have to make your own decision. Be an independent thinker. Okay, come up with a thesis. Write documents down. Like, think things through. Is it a bullish token? Yes or no? Okay, if it's a bullish token, the next if statement is it a cheap bullish token? Yes and no. Third question, what is the risk to reward ratio, and is it worth for you based on your individual risk tolerance? You need to know that about yourself. So anyways, we won't go more into that, but becoming a disciplined investor, and I hope you've been learning more about that by just watching my videos, and I appreciate you guys tuning in. Before we jump into it, big shout out to the YouTube members. We're going to quickly pull up the YouTube members. Thank you very much for choosing to support my small channel. I've been trying to make daily uploads, so I hope you guys have been enjoying that. And of course, to the highlighted comments here from Jennifer says, I'm so grateful to be in this ecosystem. Much love and respect, and some big hugs to Richard Hart. I can't wait to get to the city he builds. I am super excited. And also super excited for when Richard Hart does his live stream. Now imagine, guys, when he's full on, no longer wanted by the Interpol, which is absolutely crazy. Only God knows which country he's in right now. He had to leave Finland, but that's a whole nother story. But anyways, imagine when he goes back to live streaming. Imagine Richard Hart live streaming with people like Lex Fridman, Stephen Bartlett, Joe Rogan, and much more. Okay, so I'm super excited for that as well. And a comment from Daniel says, why is it good that BankX sold off? Isn't it bad that it was sold off? Now, I'll tell you this right now. And I did, by the way, play a clip in the previous video. So if you watched that video that you commented on, I played a clip from Richard Hart where he explained exactly why it's a good thing to have people kind of redeem their tokens sooner than later. Because if you think about it, if someone sold 10K worth of their tokens now, right, $10,000, that's only $10,000 worth of sell pressure. But if the price does a 10x, that's 100K worth of sell pressure in the future. So which one would you rather have? Would you rather them, distribute their tokens basically back to the liquidity pool, and of course, basically other people will absorb that, from weak hands to strong hands? But yeah, that's basically it. And finally, but not least, a comment from Late Starter says, never sold anything. It will blow and I buy more every month, referring to the DCA strategy, the dollar cost average. One of the best strategies to do, especially if you're not a whale and you don't have a huge upfront capital, but you do have cash flow or, disposable risk capital to put into either a handful or a dozen of tokens. This is a great thing. And by the way, this doesn't even need to apply to PulseChain. If you have a handful of projects, or a dozen, let's say, and you truly do believe in them, and you understand that the current price is not equal to its future value proposition, and you slowly DCA into them, and you're consistent, now what will happen is that you're going to accumulate and you're going to grow your position, a squid, a shark, or even to a whale, and all of a sudden you won't need that 1000x to make that generational wealth. All you need perhaps is a 100x, or all you need perhaps is a 50x. So that is the mindset that I like to have and has been proven successful for me, and I'm just sharing that with you guys. And none of this is financial advice. There's no guarantees of profits in the world of crypto. As you step into this space, you need to understand that you need to have a probabilistic mindset. You cannot speak in certainties. Okay, so finally, without further ado, we're going to jump into the first tweet of the day from Trueflation. It says, Trueflation, US inflation year over year is 2.25%. We are on day 7 of the government shutdown, and with each passing day, the data gap widens. Labor impact. The White House warns mass federal layoffs could begin this week, potentially distorting near-term employment and wage data. Key drivers of inflation expectations. Missed releases so far. October 2nd, jobless claims. October 3rd, employment reports. Next at risk. October 10th, the consumer price index. October 15th, the producer price index. October 16th, retail sales. October 30th, the gross domestic product. Data collection halted. BLS jobs and wage surveys, consensus economic indicators, and most price data collection for the CPI. All are critical inputs for inflation measurement. As official metrics freeze, real-time independent data remains the only window into what's really happening. Trueflation continues gathering data 24/7, keeping access alive. So yeah, big shout out to Trueflation. Definitely consider following them on Twitter, and of course following me. I'm very close to 5,000 followers, so thank you very much. Next, we have a tweet from Richard Hart today saying next week there should be 700,000 LCD tablets have been donated to charity but not yet given away. 100K were given away already. That's about 10.5 million of value at retail prices. Should they sell some to fund outreach? How can you get them where they will make a positive impact in the world? The messaging alongside the device is totally vital, and the impact of the device on the world will be directly tied to the impact of the messaging alongside it. I think 200K of them might have magnets for sticking on refrigerators. Getting them in the right hands or having some great mechanics alongside them would make the outreach more effective. Just handing out free devices randomly does not work. I've seen YouTubers doing lots of raffles, so I guess raffles work. What else might work? So again, he's showing us here some screenshots of how much these Sketch devices are worth. Around $14 or $15, but yeah, that's actually a really great update that we're going to see extra hundreds and hundreds of thousands of the devices being sent out, and I do think that they're having a great impact. Of course, it's kind of a long-term effect, and I'm super excited to see the outcome of this. I'll keep you guys posted on this. Moving on to the next tweet here from Grand Inquisitor says, we have survived. Sacrifice wait until PulseChain launch. 4.5 years of bear market, highest of stakes with zero effects. Everyone calling Richard Hart a scammer, which by the way, this is still true. FTX crash, Luna going to zero, Richard Hart vanishing. This is still true. SEC suing Richard Hart, which technically is still in effect because Interpol still has him on the red notice. Bank X, finally we've gone past that just as of a couple days ago. CZ in jail for 4 months. Germany dumping around 50,000 Bitcoin, making the worst decision ever. EHEX FUD, that's from Richard Hart himself in March of 2024. Mount Gox unlocks and World War III FUD. Trump tariffs, celebrities obviously rugging Paul and rug pulls, and extracting value from their fans. And unfortunately, that's their first impression of crypto, is I'm getting rugged. So that's not really good for retaining those people to stay in the world of crypto. And then you have here pump fund rug pulls, Richard Hart winning versus SEC with zero effects, Rectum dumping, Herman dumping, PulseChain gatekeeping. I believe this is commercial traders ignoring PulseChain ecosystem, PulseChain influencers rug pulling into Paul Richard Hart. There you go. Maria FUD and dump, with the whole meltdown that Maria happened, alongside Richard Hart fudding PDAI alongside when PDAI went down to zero like twice, and technically for a third time in August of this year, like last month, with the whole launch and the whole Better Bank stuff that happened. And way more, like you have the Vietnamese, you have the extractor, like you have the KT as well. It's crazy, really crazy stuff that we've gone through. Vietnamese, there you go. Extractor, PDAI crash to zero twice, and I've already said it's technically 3 times. Richard Hart fudding a super coin 33 times in a row. Here he's referring to Richard Hart tweeting about PDAI 33 times. Absolutely crazy. And guess what? Richard Hart's favorite number is 33 as well. So I don't know, like honestly, mass spaces against stupid coin. I do remember that. KT purple hair takeover. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Richard not streaming for years. That is very true. A Better Bank hack. Richard Hart blocking everyone. Hex down minus 99%. PulseChain below sacrifice rate for 2 years. Core Maxi's blocking. Core Maxi's crash out. Commercial traders ultra bearish. Ethereum. Yeah, not good. No alt season, or let's just say low testosterone here. Okay, need some ashwagandha. No alt season since 2021. Doodle pad marketing with zero effects. That's kind of messed up. I think, yeah, it's too early to judge for that. BNB, Solana, Bitcoin new all-time highs. Richard Hart calling everyone stupid. That is true. And we're still in the abyss. Will this list continue, or have we endured enough pain yet? Time will tell. Why are we here? Just to suffer. But yeah, shout out to Grand Inquisitor with a really great tweet. Moving on here from 9 Hour and Capital, one of honestly legends in this space, leading like the PDAI narrative and leading the theories here. Here he made a tweet and saying, the many PDAI narratives seem likely to collide soon. PulseChain has had 2 networks, WPLS and the P-wrapped Ethereum, the light versus dark, blue versus red, love versus hate. PDAI is a sovereign asset that the battle rages over. Let's see how it resolves. PDAI to $1. And moving on to another tweet from Decentralized Me with a clip from Richard Hart saying the following.
So I'm just saying that I have got a mechanism in here. So I've got 2 little tricks up my sleeve here. One is the people that had liquidity are not going to be able to pull it to stop the game from being played, because when this network launches, they're going to be missing some of it because it's going to be replaced with Pulse. So they're going to get more Pulse, and they're going to get less of their PRC20, and that PRC20 harvest is going into an AMM. So no one can stop the game from being played except... And
by the way, that AMM bot that he's referring to holds 21% of the supply of PWBTC, which already has a very low supply of 154,000 PWBTCs, guys. Way less than what actual Bitcoin has, which is, of course, max supply of 21 million. Okay? So it's really crazy. Take away 21% of the 154,000, and then actually when you look into the liquidity pools, you'll see that there's only around 2,000 PWBTCs left in the pools to be bought, that are available to be bought. Think about how scarce the supply already is and how easy for it to pump. But anyways, we're going to continue with the clip.
Whoever has those LP keys, they could, but the old LPs can't. And then the other trick is, I can help reduce Ethereum's load, or I can fuck Ethereum. If I want to reduce Ethereum's load, I single band make the primary bridge PLS, and then we do all the arbing on this side. But if I want to screw Ethereum, I open up wideband, 1 pair per pair, and go check out the O-notational scaling on trying to arb 10,000 new coins and 10,000 new pairs. Go figure out what that does and whose network fills up first. So if people don't want to be friendly, then I can wideband the ARB, and basically the ETH network will fill up and we won't. And then they'll be harmed and will probably be benefited. Now, I don't want to do that. I want to do it the friendly way. And it also adds more value to Pulse if it's the bridge, you know? So I would like to have the primary bridge as Pulse and not open up a bunch of ERC, PRC20 bridges. But if I get fucked with, then I will do it the harder way. And their network will be harmed. So I have interesting things I can do.
Very, very interesting. And then he quotes here from Peg Leg Larry saying, I could make Vitalik go from calamari back to fish sticks. Let's play nice, with a smiley face. And then he follows up by saying some are looking at the amount of SAC funds that moved. And again, I reported on this in the previous video, that I think amounts to be around 20 million or 25 million worth of like SAC funds movement. Really goes to show that Richard Hart has changed his ways from, live streaming and communicating through his live streams, and now communicating through blockchain. Okay, like sending us messages, and it got really crazy, especially in around April of this year, where like the OA wallets, they would buy these like specific tokens where they had the name of like Nope, bananas and stuff. It was really crazy theories. Okay, I might try to dig some up again and show you guys in the next video. It was crazy, guys. What a time. Never a dull day in the world of crypto, and especially in PulseChain, guys. Okay, it was very entertained. If you're not making gains, you're being entertained. Okay, so there's that at least. And then he continues here to say, that's not enough to peg PDAI. Some understand that this is in fact enough to realize the slingshot, bringing PDAI and others, so for example PWBTC, to parity, which in turn sends cores. Over collateralization will then follow. Looks like we're going to do this the friendly way. PDAI to $1. Big shout out to Decentralize Me, thank you for that. And then moving on here to another clip from Dion PulseChain, but the original person behind this person is Bud Pilch. So big shout out to him. I haven't followed him, but I wanted to do this in video because I want you guys to go follow him. He is very great in the way that he articulates and words things. So let's watch a minute where he's talking about why PDAI is the only stablecoin that answers to you as an individual, where you want to own what you have, the money that you own. Okay, where you're not forced to be best friends with Kevin from compliance. Okay, let's hear what he had to say.
I think there's two ways to look at stablecoins: how it affects me personally, and then what does it do to the control grid and the government and debt. So the obvious, as we've spoke about many times, let's talk about a personal level, is it returns the sovereignty to the individual, right? That's what PDAI is. All these stable coins on Ethereum do not have that. When they were issued, when you go through the Genius Act, all of these stable coins are going to be issued by private companies. Mm-hmm. This act skirts the U.S. Constitution. In the U.S. Constitution, it says that the Treasury is the only entity that shall issue currency. So they've worked around it in order to make it legal, right? And why is that important? Because all those stable coins that are issued by private companies, like it said in that document, are one phone call away from locking down a wallet.
Locking down a wallet for whatever plausible reason, and then locking it indefinitely, and it's basically very hard to reach and reconcile that. So it is crazy. It's pretty scary, guys. So if you are going to take profits in stablecoins, I would honestly also diversify in the the choices of stablecoins that you're gonna go after. But again, do your own due diligence on that. This also reminds me of a tweet from Richard Hart back in 2021 or even 2022, guys. Okay, this just shows how much thought and plan has gone to PulseChain and the narratives, obviously that makes PulseChain unique, which is the PRC20 narrative, right? Which the top PRC20s is what? It's PHEX, PDAI, PWBTC. Like, these are undeniable, okay? But now going back to that tweet, it was where he said, I have figured out a way to transfer value without transferring tokens itself. It potentially won't count as a taxable event or even fall under the Genius Act. Okay, and this is where PDAI comes into play now, years and years after that tweet, because guess what? He ended that tweet from 2021 that I'm referring to right now, because he said, I'm going to keep this a secret and I'm going to let the regulators shoot themselves in the foot first. So fast forward, the man with the plan, and there's PDAI. Who's behind PDAI? We don't know. Even Richard Hart, tweeted multiple times saying, oh, what a stupid token. What a stupid token. He even called it cancer. Okay? But you need to read between the lines. If you looked at that tweet where he talked about the cancer PDAI, he said PDAI cancer is dead. He didn't say the cancer PDAI is dead. Richard is very, very smart, guys. This is why I tell people, when you look at his tweets, don't take them as face value, because they can have hidden meanings. And majority of the times it's going to be what? Spicy tweets. This is what he said, by the way, himself. He said, I'll make spicy tweets to shake out the weak hands. So if I were you, I would only listen to Richard Hart from his movements in the blockchain. That's his way of communicating to the believers. Now, to the non-believers, they're going to be watching his tweets. Okay, I might sound crazy on that, but that's my theory. What is your theory? I actually want to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. And moving on to the next tweet here from Crusher Trades. I'm going to follow him now in video, and I hope you guys do the same thing with Crusher Trades and of course Bud Pilch. Big shout out to them both. Here he says, let's say you don't believe there'll ever be a peg. Okay, you think it's total BS. The P-copy tokens aren't meant to be speculated on and traded. It's never been done before. That's why it's up 3000x. Everyone is free to buy, sell, and trade P-copy tokens as they like. And Richard knows this well, because he could have easily launched an empty blockchain that started with only his core tokens. He chose to copy every single token on Ethereum by doing full hard system state. And by the way, this is the first of its own kind, never done before. So no one gets to tell you it's wrong to buy them or trade them. It's why the chain was made, the unique selling point, USP of PulseChain. This is the point of DeFi. No one can tell you what to do with anything. People like to point out the fact that Richard said the PDAI cancer might be coming to an end, as if he meant to say the token is going to die forever. This is not what he was saying. He said this because ESM, which by the way stands for Emergency Shutdown Module, was ran and closed up any possible vulnerability that someone might have been using. So what he was saying is that maybe the cancer PDAI was suffering for was cured. PDAI, PWBTC, Pulse, PulseX, INC, Hex, and EHEX. This, ladies and gentlemen, is Core 7, one of the most bullish ecosystems you can position yourself into for this upcoming altcoin season. And this is not even a joke. I've been holding these since 2023, guys. Since 2023. I never changed up. I stayed true to myself. The more I participated in other chains, and I've made crazy money from Solana. I've made crazy money in base chain, BNB, in 2024 as well. But the more I know about other chains, the more I want to stay within PulseChain, guys. There's something here that the other chains don't have. We have a strong community. I understand that at times we can seem as if we're divided, as if we're having a civil war. But don't get it mistaken, we have cults here, guys. We actually appeal to so many different types of investors and traders and degens and builders, right? And people who want to provide liquidity, make passive income. PulseChain really can do it all, guys. You never know, RWAs, maybe real world assets coming to PulseChain as well. I'm so excited for the future, and I'll be part of it. It's going to be two types of people, guys, in PulseChain, right? The people who are watching from the sidelines, or the people who are going to be part of its history. Which one are you? Let me know down in the comments below. But yeah, moving on here to the final tweets of the day from Real Guru. It says the next $1 billion meme coin. It won't be a dog. It won't be a frog. It could be an alien, or it could be a teddy bear. If you know the two references there. And it definitely won't be some rinsed out emoji you've seen 100 times. It'll be something different. A cult, a coin with meaning. And just so you guys know, by the way, with like meme coins, the power of meme coins, it's much easier for it to become popular the easier it is to understand. So yes, he's saying, oh, if it's not an emoji that you've seen 100 times, but at the same time, for example, with a teddy bear or an alien, it already has the mind share to a lot of people, right? When you think of UFO, everyone knows a UFO. So now if we take that real estate in people's brains and then kind of couple it with a token, a memeable token, that's pretty powerful, especially if it hasn't been done before. So that's why you have things like teddy bear, right? We've seen countless, and the market is saturated with dog and cat meme coins. We haven't seen teddy bears. We haven't seen aliens. So this is why I'm really excited for PulseChain, guys. So yeah, here he says, a coin with a meaning, one that taps into a bigger truth and makes people feel like they are. Well, as I always say, community is the new utility. Okay. Alright guys, I'm going to end the video there. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one. And remember, big shout out to the man above. Trust in the process, trust in God, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.